Before we start today's service, Ed Prell passed away the other morning. Many of you knew him and loved him, and he'd been sick for quite a while. I think it would be appropriate for us to just take a moment of silence to honor Ed before we begin the service this morning. Tomorrow is Memorial Day, and in honor of that, I've chosen this opening reading from Reverend Barbara Piscan. Bless the poets and those who mourn. Send peace for the soldiers who did not make the wars, but whose lives were consumed by them. Let strong trees grow above graves far from home. Breathe through the arms of their branches. The earth will swallow your tears while the dead sing, no more, never again, remember me. For the wounded ones and those who received them back, let there be somebody ready when the memories come, when the scars pull and the buried metal moves, and forgiveness for those of us who were not there because of our ignorance. And in us, veterans in a forest of 1,000 fallen promises, let new leaves of protest grow on our stumps. Give us courage to answer the cry of humanity's pain, and with our bare hands, out of full hearts, with all of our intelligence, let us create peace. Good morning. Um, what do you seek? What does your heart need? What do you have to share that can comfort and maybe even inspire and bring joy to the hearts of others? What will this day bring? Good morning, my name's Laura Thompson. I'm the minister here. Welcome to Minnesota Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. It's Question Box Sunday. How does that work, you ask? Well, you will see little bits of paper and pen in your aisles. Any questions you have, you can write them down on there between now and the offering time. And then when the ushers are collecting the offering, they'll put them in the question box and they'll bring it up here, and we'll do our best to explore those questions together. You might be wondering, however, what it takes to put this service together. Maybe that's what's on your mind. Aside from my words, we've also got music from Lark this morning. Some of the members of the choir are here. We have song leaders. Kai, is anybody else song leading today? Maybe Angie. And Angie, I thought maybe Angie. Kai and Angie helping us with the hymns this morning. Kathleen is back on tech, probably one of the most important jobs to do the whole service. At least it is for our Zoom and YouTube viewers, and for all the slides that we need and other technological things. And then we've got a whole hospitality team that greets you when you come in, that provides coffee and some snacks for you afterwards, that takes the offering, that helps grease the wheels to make everything happen. So we're so grateful for everybody that makes the service happen. You might also be wondering, hey Laura, what else is coming up that I should know about here at Minnesota Valley? Let me tell you. This afternoon is the last meeting this year for the UU Christian Fellowship Group. That'll be at 3 o'clock on Zoom. It's the same login for our regular Sunday service, so if you just go to our webpage and click on the Zoom link right at the top right corner there, it'll take you right to it. Next week is Flower Communion, Flower Gathering, Flower Service. This is an amazing, wonderful Unitarian Universalist tradition. We'll tell you a little bit more about that during the service if you don't know about it. We'll give a little history. But what you should know is that everybody should be bringing a flower or some flowers to represent themselves, and then we kind of gather them all together. So please bring flowers next week. You should also think about bringing some treats or food or snacks, because it's our annual picnic following the flower service, and that'll be at Highland Park, and you can find directions for that either in the May Unison, or it was probably in the Friday email, or just email us this week and ask. Information will also be in next week's Friday email, so check that out, because that's usually a lot of fun. There is an indoor space there if it's rainy. It's kind of small, but we'll make do. But it's a wonderful occasion, so please come and check it out. Did anybody else have any announcements? The year's kind of winding down and meetings are kind of finishing up, I feel like. Perhaps your question is, well, what makes this space that we share together this morning sacred? Well, first of all, it's an ancient sacred space for the Dakota people who were here many, many years, thousands of years before we were. In fact, not far from here, where the two rivers merge, the Minnesota River and the Mississippi River merge, that's called Bedote, which is their creation birthplace of the Dakota people. So that's sacred. And then there's also something that happens in between the space between you and I, and you and the person next to you, and you and everything that's around you, right? The space that's between one and all is not a space that's devoid of any value, but it is actually the most valuable space, the space between us, the most sacred space that there is, because that's the space where 1 + 1 is not 2, but 1 + 1, 1 + other is infinite possibility. So we come into this space today of endless paths and choices. Let us explore it together with curiosity and open hearts. Will you please join me in our chalice lighting for today? We seek our place, the answers to our heart's deep questions. Sometimes the answers are unexpected. test begins, and we become the wiser. Our opening hymn this morning is number 38 in the gray hymnal, Morning Has Broken. Praise and joy for the garden indeed. I don't know how many of you have been planting little flowers or things in your garden, but Emily and I we live in an apartment, but we have a kind of a veranda terrace area, and we got a bunch of flowers and lettuce and herbs out there, and they're all just like, woo, right now. So it's pretty exciting to see all of that. So that's one of my joys for today. Right now, we're going to have some time for joys and sorrows that other folks here today are carrying. You can raise your hand if you're here in person. If you're online on Zoom, you can write your joys and sorrows in the chat. And if you are on YouTube, you can share those things in the comments with one another. Yes?
Hello, hello.
Who's first?
You, Greg.
Okay, y'all, brothers and sisters. More updates. And I don't even know where to begin because this is all joy. No weather forecast. However, Dr. Chu, I talked to him on video this past Thursday. He told me you will not need any corrective lenses, maybe except for reading glasses, but no corrective lenses at all after we're done with this surgery. That will blow my mind to wake up in the morning and being able to see the world totally clear without putting in a contact lens or without putting a pair of glasses on. That'd be the first time in my life that way actually happened. So that's a joy. Second joy is that I had a couple friends from this congregation help me get my car repaired because it stalled in the Walgreens parking lot. It couldn't go forward, it couldn't go backwards, it stalled. It made a weird noise when I put it in park. So someone helped me push it into a parking space so it wouldn't be in traffic's way. Then we arranged for a tow truck to come get the car, towed it to the friend's shop down at Bethany College, down on Ola Club Road, on the west-southwest side of Bloomington. I think somebody here knows what that is. Then a couple friends got together, helped me raise enough money to get the car repaired, and the car repair was $500. Now I'm driving the car right now.
That's great.
That's another, just third joy is this. I'm not even done. A sales manager of a hotel in Egan, I think it's called Candlewood Hotels, saw my customer service skills standing in line at Walgreens one day, and she was so impressed she just gave me her business card. This Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock, I have an interview with them to help them continue to raise the reputation of that hotel into the stratosphere. So I have another opportunity to showcase the gifts God has given me. Hallelujah.
All right. Amen. Who else has joys or sorrows to share today?
Hello. It's my birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday. We should probably sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Seth. Happy birthday to you. And anybody else who had a birthday this week that we missed.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Eric Kaufman, and I will be getting married in about a week and a half.
You want me to do it? All right. Lydia wanted to share the joy that our grandma and papa, my mom and dad, successfully moved home from Arizona last week. But their furniture is not going to be arriving for another week or two, so we're glamping. So holding that up. We are living with them temporarily, but we also bought a house this week, and we'll be moving in a couple weeks. So lots of change and transition, but lots of joy and a little bit of stress. So holding all that up would be great.
I'm excited because my Alzheimer's choir is going to start.
No, it's not on. I'm excited because I'm in Alzheimer's choir, and and next month, my whole family's coming from Chicago, and my daughter and her new fiance, and we're having them all over for dinner. Here, this one's on. Try it again.
Can you hear me now? Okay, besides the joy of being back with everyone, which I really is a joy, I have another concern that I want to share, that a friend that I've known since I was 4 years old is in the hospital with pneumonia, which is not good, but it's worse because she's on oxygen 24 hours a day. I also have a joy, that is that I'm going to be house, with my daughter and my
The name of the game is talk fast before your time runs out with the microphone. I have a joy to share, and it's not quite what it will seem when I first say it. Oh,
See?
Way too many words. It should, number two should show up. Number two wasn't there. Yeah, and then it went away. I think it's better. Oh, yeah, there we go, okay.
or maybe I'm not meant to share. My daughter Gracie, who most of you have heard me talk about before, is on her first date this morning. That's not the joy, because I don't think that that's necessarily to be celebrated. I'm like, that's neutral to me. I'm like, great for her if it works out, if not. The joy is actually that she felt safe to tell me, because it's with a young woman. And it's been this full circle moment, and I shared this with her, that I remember the moment when I started becoming aware of my sexuality. Too long.
Here, Lark, come up here. You want to use this one?
Yeah, here, this one has fresh batteries, so. Oh, good. We want to hear it.
Okay. I came out when she was about 3, and I remember the fears I had and about what would that mean for my life, what would that mean for my kids' lives, what was that going to be? And as I said to her, there have been other things that have been really hard, but that none of those fears have come to be. And I could never have imagined, and I'm not attached to this with her, she can change her mind 10,000 times if she wants, but I could never have imagined that by just making the choices that were my authentic choices, that it would open up this support for my own kids in such a way that was just added another layer of dimension to the whole thing. And in contrast, she doesn't feel comfortable telling her other parents. So I feel really just grateful. It's really a moment of gratitude and also an exciting developmental stage too. The other piece with Gracie, all my news apparently is about Gracie. She is running in the conference races this week for 2 events, which will decide whether she goes on to state, which she also did last year. So wishing her luck and asking for prayers for a best outcome for that. Thank you.
Sarah Collins, I have a joy. Matthew, my son, Antonio, graduated preschool this week. And then he got to celebrate it with his best friend by going to her birthday party. And this is really great because we were questioning whether he would get to move on time given his challenges, but he got Bloomington Public School has been a blessing, and they have placed him in a wonderful program for kindergarten where he's going to thrive. So it's going to be great. And then just to plug Christian Fellowship, I almost named Antonio Samaritan, but then thankfully my mom told me, always think about how you're going to name your kids, because I knew I was going to give him the last name of Schneider. So that was not going to work out. But if you want to know why I would consider such a thing, come to Christian Fellowship today.
Yes. Kathleen? Oh,
We have some on Zoom. Alicia Williams says, I'm so grateful to MVUUF for sending me to Our Whole Lives facilitator training these past 2 months. I'm excited to help bring this wonderful program to kids in our community. Nikita Savant says, my joy is being able to be on Zoom and hear and see all of you. My concern is that we are coming to a close for summer. But there's still a lot going on.
well, we're not coming
That's
to a close.
Yeah,
We still have programming in the summer.
yeah,
you know,
we still
so
have programming.
It's a little different, but a
It is
little more
different,
casual.
maybe not always Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Eric Grady says, so glad to hear about your vision, Greg.
Is there anything else to share this morning? We lift up those words that have been spoken alongside the joys and sorrows that remain in the silence of our hearts. Will you please join in our sung response today? Hello? Great. I have a story to share. I don't know if any of the kids want to come up here a little closer, maybe help me out a little bit with the story. Or not. You want to come up? Okay. You want to help me with the story, Lydia? Okay. This is a story about a person who lived in a village. What should the person's name be? Allie. The person's name is Allie. Allie lived in a village at the base of a mountain. And the people in the village, they really liked living there. And here's the reason why. Anytime they had to make a decision, they would get into these big, long discussions about it, and they felt like they could never decide anything. But they moved to this mountain, because right on the side of the mountain, can we get that first picture, Kathleen? Oops, that's us. Can you read that? No? It says, the answer is no. It said that right on the side of the mountain. It says the answer is no. So anytime they had to make a decision, they just went to the mountain, asked the question, and the mountain said, the answer is no. So Allie decides to go to the mountain, because you guys don't know this yet, but one of the hardest decisions you'll have to make as an adult when you grow up is figuring out what's for dinner. Am I right? Yes. Every night this happens. You have to decide what's for dinner, and it's a very hard choice to make. So Allie went to the mountain to ask the mountain what she should fix for dinner. Broccoli. So she said to the mountain, hey, should I make broccoli for dinner? And the mountain said, the answer is no. So Allie was like, well, okay, I won't make broccoli. That's fine, because nobody in my house likes that anyway. Maybe I should make pizza for dinner. So she asked the mountain, should I make pizza for dinner? And the mountain said, no, there's no. So then she thought, maybe I should make spaghetti for dinner. She asked the mountain, should we make spaghetti for dinner? And the mountain said, the answer is no. And then she went on and on. Should we have burgers? Should we have chicken nuggets? Should we have grilled cheese sandwiches? Should we have soup? Should we have breakfast for dinner? Everybody likes pancakes. Should we have pancakes for dinner? And the mountain said, the answer is no. Allie was very distraught and didn't know what to do, so she gave up, threw her hands in the air, and went home and made broccoli for dinner anyway, because that was the first thing she thought of. Needless to say, her family was disappointed. And she was disappointed too, because whatever she asked, it said the answer is no. So she went to the town, she rang a bell, and everybody came, and she said, look, we gotta fix this. That mountain says no anytime we ask a question. So they talked to the carver, this guy who could pound into stone and carve things into stone, and they asked him if he would go up on the mountain and change it. And so he did. Next slide. So the answer is yes. So Allie, again, goes to the mountain to figure out what's for dinner. And what do you think the first question she asks is? Should I fix broccoli for dinner? Oh, no. The answer is yes, I should fix broccoli for dinner. So she's fixing broccoli again for dinner, which people were like, we just had broccoli last night, and it's not really our favorite thing. Can you give us a break? And she was like, this is just way too complicated. Like, I can't get the answer that I need. She said to the mountain carver, she's like, you have to go back up there and fix this again, because this isn't working. And so the mountain carver went up there, but he said, this is going to take a long time this time, a really long time. So he went up there, and he came back, and every day he'd go up for a little bit and come back and go up and come back. And this went on for days, and then months, and then years. And then people forgot that he was even supposed to go up there. And meanwhile, the mountain looked like this. The answer is under construction. And in that time, all the people in the village learned that it was okay to spend time having discussion about what the answers should be, even if they disagreed about things. And sometimes they did have broccoli for dinner, but lots of times they had pancakes and pizza too. Yummy pizza. Right? Yummy pizza. There you go. Today is our last day for our...
Okay.
Today's the last day of May Sunday service. Our Sunday sharing partner this month has been Every Meal, which helps to end childhood hunger by providing supplementary meals outside of school lunch programs in the summer, in the evenings, on holidays, and to the community in general, outside of just families that have school-aged children. This is a great organization to support. Thank you for your generosity this month. Will the ushers please come forward? And if you have questions written down, please put them in the baskets as well. I forgot to mention, folks on Zoom, if you have questions, you can write them in the chat, and I'll make sure that I peek over there. In fact, let me pull that up right now. All right, before I get into this, here are my disclaimers and caveats. One, I have the right to refuse to answer any question, should I choose, for whatever reason. Two, I don't have to have the answer, per se, for everything. We can explore it together, as may be the case. So those are my disclaimers. So let's see what we've got. And some of these questions are about the church, some of them are getting to know me, some of them are general questions, just so you know, they're all different things usually in here. Maria put a question in, she's with her family this weekend, but she said last week she told that story of dog and duck, how they learned many new things, and dog learns what it's like to act like a duck, and duck learns what it's like to act like a dog. And she's asking me if I like to try new things, and what have I tried lately that I never tried before, and what did I learn? I do really like, well, you know, sometimes I like to try new things, and sometimes I don't like to try new things. And I find that the sometimes I don't like to try new things, that category is getting bigger as I get older, if I'm being honest. I don't know if anybody can relate to that. But I do really love trying new foods. I mean, I used to be a chef, so I really love food as an adventure. I would imagine that'll stay with me my whole life. And one thing that I tried new yesterday was a new recipe. I've been trying to do more plant-based recipes and stuff, and so Forks Over Knives is not just a film, but they also have a website with a lot of recipes on there. And so I tried a new chocolate cake recipe that had pureed sweet potatoes in it, which meant it was low fat, because that's sub for the butter and fat and eggs. And it had cocoa powder and sweeteners in it, and it was really delicious. So what I learned is that chocolate cake can be delicious without all the eggs and butter and all of that stuff. So learning that chocolate is delicious is a lesson that I plan on reliving as many times in my life as I can. Oh. What are my hopes and dreams for Minnesota Valley UU Fellowship? Can I tell you about a pizza oven? All right, my hopes and dreams are that at some point we are healthy enough, and we're trending good right now, that we're healthy enough that we can have a capital campaign. And again, I'm a former chef, so this is going to skew probably a lot of my answers. It would be great if we had a capital campaign, and first of all, redid the kitchen downstairs, which is not adequate in my humble professional opinion, and had a more opening space that was easier to use and whatnot down there. I think that would be great. And then it would also be great if we built a deck right out here, right, in this area that's kind of lumpy and not as well used as it could be. A nice deck that on the end had a big brick bread baking and pizza oven, and then we could have like pizza nights here for fellowship, because pizza. So that's one of my hopes and dreams. Yeah, right? Keep those pledges up. We get a pizza oven. Oh, jeez. What do you think your superpower is? Or what superpower would you like? Well, I'll start with the first one, and that's, you know, because if we're talking about what I would like, then I'm gonna go with like supernatural superpowers that, like, you know, don't necessarily exist in nature. So I would like to fly. All my life I've had flying dreams, and I love those dreams, and I feel like exhilarated when I wake up from them. And it's a really powerful thing too. Like in my flying dreams, in order to fly, I have to just know that I can do it, which is kind of a powerful thing. Like just in the very being of my being, in my bones and every like cell in my body, I have to know that I can fly. And then I fly. Unfortunately, to land, I have to know that I can fall, and that's a little bit scary sometimes in my flying dreams, because like I have to hold both of those things and somehow manage to control it. What I think my superpower in real life is that I can, well, one, that I can stand up here and answer these questions. I'm good at being in hard places, to be a companion to somebody in a hard place. And that kind of superpower comes from perhaps a little bit of my own trauma history. People that have trauma history have an easier time compartmentalizing sometimes, and they can be with other people when they're in hard places. So it doesn't necessarily come from a good place, but it is a gift to have, to be able to be present when people are dying or having, really hard moments in life. So I am grateful that I can do that. I'm looking online, and we got thumbs up for pizza oven. Here we go. How do Unitarian Universalists view God?
In a myriad of ways.
In a myriad of ways. I'm going to turn this all back on you. Who else has, who has a view of God or doesn't have a view of God? Lee?
Yeah, I would say being an atheist, I really don't find the concept of God a comfort, right?
Okay. So we've got not viewing or holding. We've got a myriad of ways. Who else has something to offer? Steve?
Yeah, I would say it makes sense that there's probably a first mover or something in the universe, and we've got no idea what that is other than just nature. But I always remember, Betty Gutman's response to that many years ago when she was asked about God and sort of said, well, I don't really feel that's a relevant question in this world. It's sort of like our deists who said, back at the time of the revolution, who said that God may have created everything, but obviously once he created it, he sort of left.
Okay. There's another viewpoint. Who else? Matthew, way in the back.
Perfect you answer. From the Gnostic standpoint,
Agnostics.
whether or not there is a God, it's irrelevant to how you should be living your life. You should be living your life the best that you can because it's the best thing that you can do. Whether or not that there is a God or isn't a God isn't the right question. It is, how can I be a good person? How can I be better the next day? How can I take care of my family better, support my family better? Those are the good questions. And then if you follow those guidelines, you'll find what God means to you.
If God means anything to you.
If God means to you.
Right? So there's a great you answer, right? So how we live our lives is the important thing, and whether or not that has something to do with God for you is a personal thing. And so there is no way that I can say that you view God, because you view God or don't view God in a variety of ways for a variety of reasons, but they are focused on their behavior in this world and making the world a better place, which has nothing to do with God unless it does for them, and then it does. So, yep.
There are two more people who have answers for you.
Oh, two more people that have answers.
Yep.
I believe in God.
Greg?
And Greg.
This comes from basically a paraphrase of Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know who he is?
Yep.
Famous astrophysicist. He says, in a nutshell, he don't believe in a personal God due to the fact that there's a million things in our universe that can kill us. In a nutshell.
Yeah.
But I believe that God is love.
And for me personally, I believe God, for me, God and like change or becoming are kind of the same thing, that there's a force or a will of everything to just keep moving and expanding. So whatever it is, that will that keeps the universe pushing outward and things reaching for the sun and growing. To me, that's such a thing that I'm in awe of, that I call it God, but somebody else might not call it that. So sometimes it's just a matter of preference of words and how you want to frame something too. Anybody else want to add their thoughts on God? No?
I think that God lives in our heart.
Yeah, God lives in our hearts. That's another popular idea. I mean, there's lots of things. I think what's important about Unitarian Universalism too is that we don't tell you what our view on God is, but we make space to have discussions on your views or your not views about God, and we just hope to have a safe and loving space for that conversation where we can continue to work on making the world a better place, right? Here's a question. In our shared response, we sing, "We have our thoughts to receive." What does that mean? I thought about that once because I was like, what does that mean when we sing that line? We have our thoughts to receive. Like, I already have my thoughts. Like, they're in my head. How do I receive them? And they're already there. I actually thought of that question years ago when we were singing it. I'm like, what is that? And the best that I could think of was that it just means that we have open minds to listen to others. But I'm also open to hearing anybody else's thoughts. Andrew, what do you, wait for a microphone, because otherwise you gotta wait for a mic, otherwise the Zoom and. Hold on.
I want everyone to hear you. My view on it when I sing it is that it's my perception. That's what it is for me.
Yeah. Eric has a thought on that.
I don't necessarily know if it's like the right interpretation, but sometimes I can realize that I'm not even receiving my own thoughts. So I'm not allowing myself to be or receiving my own thoughts.
Yeah.
So I think to me the song lyric is more about just receiving others' thoughts, but another interpretation is, are you receiving your own thoughts?
That's great. I love that.
Our psyche is a network.
Yeah.
All parts of us speak, and we can choose where to put our attention in this network. So if we have parts of us that aren't healthy, and we cut them off through repression, that creates a psychological trauma. We don't listen to that part of our brain anymore.
Yeah.
To receive all of our thoughts is really a form of mindfulness meditation.
Mm-hmm. What was coming to my mind when you guys were sharing was this idea that my pastoral care instructor in seminary used to remind us that we're human beings, not human doings. And I think the things that we have to do sometimes take up way more of our brain space or what others should be doing than like just our existence and the being of in the moment. So that's what that brought up for me. This is great. This is like, our theme is pluralism this month, and so we're really getting some of that here, like different thoughts and different ideas. Nikita says she thinks that it means that we reflect. Please ask for a show of hands. Okay. After the questions, Matthew. But thank you for being so into it. So who here does weekly composting? Oh, what good UUs we are. How many members here are vegetarian or vegan on a daily basis? Smaller, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many of us are trying to eat more plant-based foods and work towards that? Okay, so we're inching that way. And how many members have serious food allergies? 2. 2 people. We might have more if we had the kids here. So I would say on that last question, as a good thing to make sure that when you bring something to share, there are index cards downstairs, and you should definitely note if there's dairy, is that right? And eggs?
Eggs and
Dairy, eggs, and gluten? Yeah, you should definitely mark those things on any snacks that you bring so that Yamini knows what she can enjoy when she's down there. And also a reminder that you should use those index cards or a piece of paper, not only to write what allergens, the common ones like gluten, dairy, eggs, nuts, would be in there, but also put your name on there and what it is, because sometimes people really like it and they might want to thank you, or they might want to ask you how you made it, and that's another way that we interact with each other. There's some on, sorry. There were serious allergies online. Carolyn is allergic to peanuts. Eric Grady is also allergic to nuts, and I think his daughter is allergic to sesame. Isn't one of your daughters allergic to dairy too, Eric? I think I make dairy-free grilled cheese on the kids' nights for one of them. Yes, he says. And then somebody else, Nikita, is allergic to nightshades. That's a bummer. That's all like tomatoes and peppers and... Oh, no, you are not. Who is allergic to... Oh, she's just mentioning it as an allergen. Nikita's just mentioning that nightshades are a thing for some people. I know Emily, my partner, she has rosacea and trying to figure out what food things might trigger that for her, and we're hoping it's not nightshades because that's a lot of delicious foods in that category. This is the last question in the box. What coping measures will be useful for the next months before, during, and after the election? Oh, wait, there is one more in there. Okay. You know, I talk about spiritual practice sometimes, and this is it, folks, like really finding something that you do that centers yourself. And if you can do this in a daily way, even if it's just for 30 seconds while you're on your walk or a minute while you're on your walk, you know, a real simple way to do it on your walk is just to notice what you're sensing. I feel the breeze on my face. I hear my feet crunching the leaves. I hear my feet crunching the leaves again. I hear a bird. I see clouds. I see whatever. You're just noticing what's going on with you right now. That's a real simple thing that you can do, again, in a walk, in the grocery store, wherever, not while you're scrolling or watching any kind of screen, but you know, in some other observational type of moment to do that. And what that does is it helps you to notice things in general, because what's going to happen the next few months, you know, right, the scrolling, the TV, NPR, the trials, etc. Like, it's just, you get all that in your head, and you just need, you know, some palate cleanser or something to remind you that there are other things going on. If you take the time to do that on a regular basis, what happens is you retrain your brain to start looking for those things normally, right? So you start doing it, and then all of a sudden when you're out, you do notice, I can't believe how many bald eagles I see now that I've started being more active about this. They're everywhere, all the time. I'm sure they were there before, and I just didn't notice them, right? So when you notice things, then you start to notice other things. You notice the giggling baby in the grocery store. You notice the flower that's blooming that wasn't there yesterday. You might even stop and go examine the flower. And those things are important because whatever is coming our way for the election is not the only thing that we have the next few months, right? And I would say this also, I'm going to talk about some spiritual practices this summer and talk about the idea of a Sabbath. But if ever there is a time to get in a practice of having a Sabbath, that is some time off from that kind of stuff. Whether you're taking a Sabbath for the day of no news on your feeds, no news on the TV, don't put NPR on the car radio, just take a daily, once a week fast from it, like set some Sabbath times for yourself where you're not engaging in what the world and what the media wants you to think about, which is just, their channel having more views. And so they're gonna, of course, put the most sensationalist things that they can on that, right? Whether it's the left or the right, they're gonna go with it. So take some time for some news fasting. I would highly, highly recommend. Anybody else have any ideas? Oh, you know what else you could do? You could get involved with that practice that Social Action's doing with the mailing of the postcards. Right, Nan? I'm gonna plug that for you. So there's postcard packets out there on the table. That's a positive thing that you can do when you feel helpless, like, what can I do? I feel like I can't do anything. Like, you can do a little action like that of being engaged in the election process, and that sometimes people find helpful as well, because we'll have to get out the vote. You the vote. That's right. Yeah, you the vote. And there's a website too. You can go to youthevote.org probably and check that out. Yeah. Wait, Nan, wait. Okay.
If you want a postcard packet, there's a sign-up sheet out there, and we're trying to get some more now. So look for them next week. Hopefully
Yeah.
we'll have them.
And the great thing about the postcards is for people that don't like to make phone calls to strangers, you don't have to do that with the postcards. You just mail them, and they go to all sorts of people just to help to get out the vote. So, anybody else have ideas? Pray if you're the praying kind. That might help too. Well, somebody's asked me a question that I gotta Google something.
I'll wait.
Someone has asked, please reflect on 1 Corinthians 13, share UU perspectives on Paul's theology. Okay, I'm not going to get into my critique of Paul's theology for this. But the verse says, 1 Corinthians 13, and I think they probably just mean the first sentence here. If I speak in the tongues of men,
The whole thing, especially the third paragraph.
Oh, okay. If I speak in the tongues of men or angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all the mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, love does not boast, is not proud, it does not dishonor others, is not self-seeking, is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, trusts, hopes, and preserves. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked as a child and thought as a child and reasoned as a child. And when I became an adult, I put the ways of childhood behind me. For now I see only reflection as in the mirror, then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall fully even know as I am fully known. And of these three remain faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. I have a couple things to say. One is that sometimes this gets used for weddings, and that's not the context. Like, to have, the love is patient, love is kind. They weren't talking about your married romantic love. Paul wasn't talking about that. He was talking to a whole people about, love being the enduring thing for beloved community. I think it's also interesting to have that question after the election question and read things like, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Sorry, I'm just thinking about in context with election news that's going on right now, that those things came back to back. And so I think in our context, prophecy, if you will, is just that idea of people looking to what's going to happen in the future. And of course, we have a lot of that going on. And a lot of it is just clanging cymbals and noise, right? From whatever side, right? From our side too, right? I mean, all kinds of things get said that don't get done. I mean, we can talk about the war, but let's not get into that right now. But that's certainly a thing, right? And I mean the war, the Hamas-Israel war. I think it's just a reminder that that's the most powerful thing, and that is the light and the truth, to do things in a loving manner. That's how I would interpret that particular thing. And also, I don't remember who the Corinthians are. I'm not a biblical scholar, but I would also caution people to find out who the Corinthians were, because Paul was writing that specifically to the Corinthians. So what was going on with them at the time, that they needed to hear those words as well, because it's always good to put things in their context. All right, I'm going to just check Zoom real quick. I think we've done well. I think we've finished it. I got through them all. I think I lost my place in my script. Hold on. Oh, we've got another hymn. This is in the teal hymnal. It's number 1022, Open the Window.
We're just going to do 3 verses, not all 5.
Thank you.
Somebody wants to do all 5? Did I hear that?
Ask the Mountain, do we let Nicole pick hymns that we don't know on days that she's not here?
Well done, everybody.
We did well, but maybe the answer is to be revisited. Will you all please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of forgiveness. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. I have a question. Is Leopold Mozart related to Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart?
Of course.
Is it his child?
No.
Or maybe?
Father.
His
I
father?
was gonna say, yeah, I'm out of
Okay.
sync with the order of things, but not child, so father makes sense.
Beautiful.
Amazing family, really.
Yeah. I want to close with these words from Henry Nouwen. Did I offer peace today? Did I bring a smile to someone's face? Did I say words of healing? Did I let go of my anger and resentment? Did I forgive? Did I love? These are the real questions. We must trust that the little bit of love that we now sow will bear many fruits here in this world and in the life to come. Blessed be. Amen.